Hello, my name is Evangeline Abriel, and I am the clinical professor at Santa Clara University School of Law, and I also direct our Australian program in Sydney, Australia. I am here today to talk to you about public sector internships through all the Santa Clara summer programs, and we have a great number of those. We have both public sector internships and private sector internships, and the private sector internships will be covered by Professor Donald Polden in a different presentation. And I'm here to talk to you today about the public sector internships. So the main things I wanted to tell you at the beginning were that this is a wonderful opportunity. It's an exciting opportunity. It's a time when you can learn about the legal systems of another country and have the opportunity to work with lawyers and judges and law clerks and law students from those countries and really get to see how other countries develop their legal systems and practice their systems of justice. It's also a wonderful opportunity for you to take a chance to compare and contrast those systems with the system that you're studying in your U.S. legal education. So I guess the first question is, what is a public sector internship? And they cover a broad spectrum of types of offices. One are nonprofit legal offices, which provide free or low-income assistance to people who need legal services. This could be refugees seeking protection. It could be people seeking relief from domestic violence. It could be people needing criminal defense, a wide variety. In fact, in Sydney, it includes an environmental defense organization where the law firm, a nonprofit law firm, represents agencies and individuals who have environmental claims. Another location for your public sector internship would be government offices or courts or international organizations such as the UN. So all of these are wonderful places to gain experience and to just get the idea of a foreign legal system. So I guess the next question is, what sort of duties might you do in all these places? So because you are a U.S. legal student and you won't have the same background as the law students in the countries where you're interning, but you have a lot of skills to offer. So you will have an advanced system of legal research, analysis, and writing. You may have had experience dealing with clients and individuals before, and those will be of great assistance to the organizations and the offices where you'll be interning. The types of duties that our students have typically had in the past include working with clients, interviewing them, getting information from them, maybe getting information from other witnesses, memorializing that information so that it's part of the client's case record, doing legal research, often doing factual research, particularly if you are working on a refugee case, you would be doing background country conditions research to support the applicant's claim. There is usually a lot of observing and meeting and strategizing with the other people in the office, hopefully observing legal proceedings in courts or tribunals. And those are some of the major types of duties. Our students have also occasionally manned advice clinics where the clients will call in on the phone or come in person. The students will take the information and then they will go and consult with the lawyer and come back and give the client the information. So a wide variety of duties and a lot of tasks that are very transferable to the sorts of work that you will later be doing in the United States. We wanted to cover briefly professional responsibility. So the most important part of this would be confidentiality. So you must be very careful not to divulge any information about the work you're doing in your placement, except in the most general and anonymous terms. Almost all systems of justice, probably all systems of justice, are going to have some form of an attorney-client confidentiality requirement. The other part we wanted to talk with you about on your in terms of professional responsibility is your conduct. So you are there as representing your law school and your family and the United States. So it's important that you conduct yourself professionally at all times, and this includes being very careful not to break any of the country's laws. So careful about any overindulgence in alcohol and no substance, no use of controlled substances. Let's see. So we also want to talk to you a little bit about who you would be working with. In your placement, you'll be working with lawyers. They may have a different name, a different title than what we have in the United States. So for example, in Australia, you would have a barrister or a solicitor rather than an attorney. You may also be working with judges, and you also have the opportunity to work with other law students because the organizations you're in will frequently have legal interns from local law schools. So this is a great way to network and to get to see your peers in another country. How should you prepare for the legal internship? There are a couple of things that you can do to let you hit the ground running a little bit more than otherwise. One of these is to read up on the legal system in the country that you'll be visiting, and you can do this on Wikipedia or online. There'll be all kinds of resources that you can Google and familiarize yourself with that legal system. The other thing is to familiarize yourself with the organization as much as you can from their website. Look at that, get a good feel for the type of work that the organization does, and get an idea of the people that work there. Most of the websites will have a listing of staff and a little bit of those people's backgrounds. So take some time to look through that and get to know the organization as well as you can before you start actually working there. Some of Santa Clara's programs have a pre-placement legal research component. So if your program has that, and for example, the Australia program has that, so be sure you attend that and take notes and try to internalize that. Let's see, I think those were, if your placement has been finalized, and I know that some placements have not been finalized yet and are still in process, but if your placement has already been finalized, then be sure you send a note, an email to the supervisor there and express your enthusiasm and let them know what day you'll be arriving and that you're really looking forward to the experience. You can start that connection with the supervisor now. If you are going to be placed in the same city where the course preceding the internship takes place, then your director will probably arrange some time to take you to meet the supervisor once you get on the ground. So moving on to talk a little bit about your obligations to the placement. So our main obligation, the main thing we ask of you is that you just do your best. This is the internships are not easy. You'll be asked to do the same sort of work you do in law school, and you know that that's not easy work. So we ask for you to do your best there. Also be diligent about your hours. So you're expected to complete 50 hours for each unit of academic credit. But that doesn't mean that once it's 50 hours or however many hours you need for all of the credits you've registered for are over, that doesn't mean that you can just stop that. You are assigned certain tasks and you have an obligation to complete this task, even if it takes more than the amount of time you've signed up for. We ask that you stay in contact with your supervisor so that you know what the supervisor is expecting of you. If you don't understand an assignment that's been given to you, then do your best to try to do the background reading that you need to try to understand it, but then go to the supervisor to make sure that you actually know what is being asked of you. We have certain requirements here at Santa Clara in order for you to get academic credit for the internship. And those are first signing the memorandum of understanding that your program director will provide to you. The program director and your supervisor at the placement will also sign that memorandum of understanding. Then, as I mentioned, you have an obligation of working 50 hours for each unit of academic credit, and your externship supervisor will have to sign off on those hours. So be sure as you go along that you keep a good record of your hours every day so that you can then present that to the supervisor so that they can sign off, because they will probably not be keeping a record of your hours. So that's really on you to do. You also have to obtain a passing grade for your work. The program director will assign that grade in consultation with your internship supervisor, who will actually also give you a grade. We also ask that you complete journals and guided reflections, and your program director will give those to you so that you'll know exactly what to do. And completing those journals and guided reflections counts towards the 50 hours for your academic credit. Sometimes students ask me what to do if difficulties arise, what sort of difficulties might arise that you want to be aware of and think about resolving if they happen to come up. So I think one of the main things, this doesn't happen that frequently, but it's maybe one of the things that can come up, is that your supervisor may not know what to do with you. They may not know how capable you are, or what you're capable of, what you have, how much education you've actually had. And part of this is because the United States is the only legal system that requires law school to be a graduate degree only. So you may be in a country where people become lawyers after an undergraduate degree, maybe a 5-year undergraduate degree. So when you say that you've completed your first year of law school, people may think that you've just completed your first year of undergraduate school. So the program director will try to clarify this to make sure that the placement knows where you are in your education. But you may mention at some point as well if you think that that's necessary. If this happens, if you have a situation where your supervisor doesn't seem to know what to assign you to do, be sure you contact your program director so that the program director can work on that. That's the program director's job, to make sure that the supervisor knows what you're capable of and maybe give some suggestions on things that you can do. I think this is actually kind of a rarity because most of the places you will be working will be so much in need of your help that there will be plenty for you to do. But if it does arise, talk to your program director. Once in a while, people are asked to do work that isn't truly legal work, like it might be answering the phones or doing something else that you don't think of as purely legal work. Normally in a nonprofit organization, people tend to pitch in. So you may be asked to do something besides legal work. And as long as it's negligible, that's fine. If you feel like it's getting to be more than that, then talk to your program director, and the program director will resolve that. And I think those are the main sorts of things that might come up. And you've got resources. You have your program director to talk to and to help you resolve anything that does come up. So students also ask me, what should they bring? So I would say bring at least one suit or professional attire. Other days you may be able to get by with sort of business casual, but bring at least one suit that you can use for meeting clients or going to court. Also bring your laptop and your charging cord and anything else you need for your laptop. Many of the public sector placements will not have a separate computer for you to use, so they'll be very grateful if you bring your laptop and use it there. You'll also want to bring your Westlaw and Lexis logins and passwords, because you should be able to use those during your internship since you're getting academic credit, and that can also be of great benefit to the placement. Things to consider about demeanor and office policies. So students often ask what they should wear. I'd say the first day you should go talk to your program director about this too, because the program director will be more familiar with the placement. But I would say that the first day you should go dressed up a little bit. After that, when you see what people are wearing there, you can modify your attire to be the same sort of thing that other people in the office wear. How people also ask, or students also ask me, how they should address their supervisor. I would say start with more formal, like a Mr. or Ms. Almost inevitably, that person's going to say, call me by my first name, and then that's fine. So start off a little more formally, and then you can get more casual. Sometimes students want to take a day off. If you want to do this, we don't advise it, because you're supposed to work the same hours that anyone else in that particular office is working. But if you need to take a day off, or if you're sick, try to give the supervisor advance notice. If you're just going to take a Friday off, then you want to give them weeks of advance notice. But if you're sick, then just be sure you call in and make sure that they know that you're sick and that's why you're not there. The idea is that you are a part of that office and you have an obligation there, and you want to make sure that you are fulfilling that obligation. The other thing about demeanor and office policy is just smile and be friendly. You'll find that the people in the office are really excited to have you there, that you're just as it's an opportunity for us to learn about a different legal system, it's an opportunity for the people in your office to learn about a different legal system. So it will be exciting for them to have you there. So be open to conversations and opportunities to exchange ideas and get to know each other. At the end of the placement, we have some suggestions. So one is to write thank you notes to everybody that has helped you there, and to take some sort of a gift for the office, some pastries or candy, something like that the office can share. I highly recommend doing a transfer memo to your supervisor on every project that you've worked on. So summarizing for the supervisor what you have done in the placement and what still remains to be done. So that is a polished way to end your placement, and it will memorialize the work that you've done. You want to be able to call on the supervisor for references in the future, so you want to spend as much time as you can letting the supervisor get to know your work and what you can do. And then at the end, maybe ask the supervisor, would you mind if I listed you as a reference if I need to for a future job application? Let's see. We also recommend that you stay in contact afterwards. So exchange email addresses. Occasionally after you leave, if you have a good relationship with the supervisor or other people in the office, stay in contact by sending occasional emails or maybe a holiday card, and if you feel that it's appropriate, becoming Facebook friends. A couple of other points that I wanted to mention. One is that if you are in an English-speaking country, they may not spell English the way we do in the United States. So check your spell checker to adjust it to whatever country. For example, in Australia, they use English spelling, and if you spell with American English, you just are thought of as not knowing how to spell. So be sure you check your spell checker for that. Sometimes, in some places, you will be asked to work with a translator. And there's a lot, that's a huge topic, working with a translator, lots to talk about with that and more than we have time for today. But if you are going to be working with a translator, do some Googling, read up about best practices for working with a translator before you get started. And I wanted to say that your program director and I and Carly Coble of the Center of our Global Law Center are always available to talk to you, and we encourage you to do that. And we give you our best wishes for a wonderful, exciting, transforming summer. Thank you.